Now I'm here at work at Savour Chocolate and Patisserie School, and my staff has set me a challenge. They said, oh, it's really nice and easy when you've tested a recipe a few times to actually create something. But how are you going to go if you pull some ingredients, some equipment and an occasion out of a hat, and that's going to determine what you make, but you only have an hour. So I'm not sure how this will go, because I'm the sort of person that is happy to test a product 50 times before I share it with you to ensure that the recipe works exactly, the quantities are right, and that I'm happy with the end result, and I tweak it along the way. So here goes. So no recipe books, I can't look at the internet, so I'm going purely on here. Now the ingredient that I get has to be the most predominant flavor. I can use any other ingredients that I want, but it actually has to taste predominantly like that flavor. I'm allowed one ingredient, 2 pieces of equipment, and 1 occasion. The pieces of equipment is what's concerning me most, because whatever I pick out here is the only main pieces of equipment. So we have oven, stick blender, stand mixer, food processor, and Tanya, who's my assistant. So I'm only allowed 2. So first one first, I'm gonna mix this up, so I really don't know what I'm gonna pull out. See how this goes. All right. Cashew. Wow, it's a little bit disappointing. Predominant flavor cashew. All right, I can work with that as long as I get the equipment that I require. So 2 out of here. I would never have picked cashew. Oven. It's okay. For cashew, I would really like to get stove. So stove. So no stick blender, no food processor, no stand mixer, so everything has to be done by hand. I'm happy I've got stove, but for me, oven doesn't go with cashews. I don't even know if I'll use the oven. Okay, now the occasion. Hope I don't get wedding or something. I don't even know what's in here. Wedding would be awkward with cashew. You'd be a little bit disappointed. I've only got an hour and cashew nuts and a stove and an oven to make your wedding cake. What have we got? Dinner party. Wow, so dinner party is not bad actually. So I can make a dessert, but I can also make petit fours, which is served with coffee. So that's a good one, taking that as a win. So let's have a look at what I've got. Main ingredient and predominant flavor has to be cashew. I can use a stove and an oven, and it's for a dinner party. I've got this, I've got an hour. So let's go. Salted roasted cashews. I was initially a little bit disappointed, but now I'm quite excited about the cashews. My first thought is to create an individual chocolate. It's a dinner party, so you can't create a chocolate bar. So I would do a molded chocolate with a cashew caramel filling. The only downside is that caramel takes a little bit of time to cool down, so I'd have to work very, very quickly to get the caramel done first. And then I would have to coat the cashews in with something else, maybe a little bit of praline, maybe a bit of chocolate to put in the base, and then the caramel on top. But I think that would taste absolutely divine. So if I put in here the cashew nut mixture with a bit of chocolate and praline, then we'll make the caramel red, and then we do the caramel here. Another thought I had was to actually do a Florentine, which is a classic. It's very easy, great at a dinner party. Can be made in advance, so I could do cashew nuts as the main ingredient as the Florentine. So then you've got honey, you've got some sugar, some glucose in there. They'll spread a little bit, and then after they bake, we seal them with a little bit of milk chocolate on the back of them. For me, cashew goes very, very well with milk chocolate, goes well with caramel, sort of sugary honey flavors, and particularly salted cashews, because that will actually break it through. So a lot of thoughts I had, I thought I could do that, but I've got no mixer. So these are great options because I don't actually require a mixer. Now for the recipe. So I've got all the ingredients here. Now I'm just going to add some quantities. So honey, Honey's about 33% sweeter than normal sugar, so I'm just going to add 30 grams. Glucose, 30 grams. It's 40% less sweet than normal sugar, but glucose is going to help once we dissolve the sugar to stop it recrystallizing. Salt, say 2 grams or a pinch. Vanilla bean paste, 5 grams, which is a teaspoon. Now cream, this is going to, how much cream I add is going to determine the consistency of the caramel. And I don't want it that drip on your chin, I want it a little bit thicker. So I'm only going to add 220, I weigh it in grams, but you can do the same in mils, grams of cream. And then butter, let's say, the more fat we put in, it helps to fix the taste, but the fat also helps to set the caramel as well. So unsalted butter, I'm going to add in, let's say 60 grams. So that's a caramel. Then I've got my crunch layer here. So, all right, I'm going to work those quantities out as I go. So I'm going to get started. So the first thing I have to do is actually the caramel, and then I'm going to go backwards and create the chocolate shell, because the caramel is going to take some time to actually cool. So I've dithered long enough, I'm going to get started. Now I've been running around like a crazy woman, collecting everything and weighing everything up, but I'm good to go now. So I'm still on the timer, so I'm going to go pretty quickly because I've got only an hour to do this, and it's taken me 16 minutes so far, so I haven't got much time left. So cream in, I'm going to boil that. That's for the caramel. Maybe I've bitten off more than I can chew trying to finish this in an hour, but I'm going to see how I'll go. Oh, I haven't got all the utensils that I need. A little bit of vanilla. Tanya, my assistant's going to taste this, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's been a little bit of sabotage, just saying. While I've been preparing. So this is cream, so I can put that on a rapid heat. You don't need to stir it. We're just going to bring it to the boil, and I've got vanilla bean paste in there. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to put the sugar into the saucepan, talking really fast because I think that'll make me work faster. Boil, come on, boil. And induction, this one's really, really fast. So I know what I can do while I'm waiting. Chop the cashew nuts. Here we go. You watch the cream for me. Let me know if it boils over. So salted cashews, the hero of our dish. The world's smallest chopping board. I had to pull this one out and normally put a wet cloth underneath. I haven't even got time to get that. So I want these to be small enough that they're going to fit in the base of a chocolate mold. So we're looking for these to be probably about that size. Oh, boiling. I'm going to take that off. Then I'm going to put the sugar on. So we can't have the sugar as hot. Sugar, I'm going to go between 160 and 180. And I'm just going to stir it every now and then to ensure that it's not caramelizing too much on the base. You can see that this starts to melt underneath. So as soon as this is ready, I'm going to pour the boiling cream over it to stop it cooking so that it doesn't burn. The only thing with the induction is that it doesn't heat up the sides of the pot. So for me, gas is better for caramel, but induction is faster. So I'm stepping it up a bit. I've turned it up. So all the sugar crystals must be dissolved before I can add the cream. So I'm going to turn it back down again. So it's not going too fast before all the sugar dissolves. Okay, I'm going to step it up a bit, just a little bit. I've still got some crystallized sugar there, And we can see if we start getting that really light foam on top, we're nearing 178 degrees Celsius. So if it's going too fast, I'll turn it back down because otherwise it'll burn before all this sugar's dissolved. And that would be disastrous if I had to start again at this stage. If you actually like this video, maybe you can send in some suggestions for me to pull from the hat. So 3 scenarios. Ingredients, we've done equipment, and we've done experience or event. Nearly dissolved. And stop it cooking with the cream. If you've got even the slightest amount of sugar that's undissolved, the whole caramel will slowly crystallize, so it'll go grainy. Fortunately for me, it won't happen in the next hour. No, but I will still ensure all the sugar's dissolved. Okay, I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to stop it cooking. You can see the foam there. Do you see the foam on top? That means we're at temperature. And all the sugar is dissolved. This cream is hot, don't add it cold. And this is going to help to stop it cooking. A little bit of salt, sea salt, got some honey. So honey's going to impart a flavour, and honey will actually make the ganache last longer. It stabilises the water within the ganache and holds on to the moisture so the ganache won't dry out as quickly, or in this case, a caramel. Some glucose. If you can't get glucose, you can use a light corn syrup. All right, I'm going to turn that back on, bring it back up to a boil. My quantities are looking good at this stage. So at this stage, if I wanted to, I could add some more cream if I thought I wasn't going to be happy with the consistency. Keep in mind it will firm up a little bit once it cools down. Now some unsalted butter. So I'm going to pour this into glass so you can see, but I'm going to take it out quickly because glass retains heat. So it's not going to help it cool down at all. But it'll be nice for you to see the caramel in. But then I'm going to transfer it to a piping bag because it'll cool down if it's in a thinner layer, and I'm going to pipe it anyway. Okay, so that's the first part of my recipe. The caramel. With induction, don't scrape the pot too much because sometimes you've got uncrystallized sugar on the sides and you may drop it into the caramel, which will mean eventually it may start to crystallize. All right, enough talking. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to let that cool just for a minute, and then I'm going to put it in a piping bag. I've got the milk chocolate, the praline paste. I'm going to put these two together and I'm going to melt them in the microwave till it's really hot, and then I'm going to cool it down on the stone surface. In all my enthusiasm, I just realized I need to make the chocolate shell first. So I can't start that yet. So I'm going to set this to the side, and now we're going to start on preparing the chocolate mold and creating chocolate shell really quickly. So the caramel cools down faster. I'm just going to put, oh my goodness. Oh no, oh my goodness. There's a hole in the bag. Lucky the bench was clean. Look at that. Tear in the bag. I wonder if that's sabotage. Sabotage by my assistant. Oh my God. Wow, that went well. So, back in the bowl we go. Maybe I planned that to cool it down. Great way to cool caramel down on the bench. So another bag, shall we? Lost a bit of time, but I believe it was productive time because we've now cooled the caramel down a bit more. Okay, here we go again. Caramel in the piping bag. Now I may or may not have a little bit less than I first anticipated, but, and you can see these bits in here, they're sea salt, so it's not crystallized sugar. Can't believe that happened. See, even I do things like that, make mistakes. Take 2 on cooling the caramel down. Now we're going to cool the caramel down. This is great on a stone bench. There we go. I'm going to clean up the mess. I've decided to put a little bit of red cocoa butter. So this is powdered cocoa butter. Oops. Lost a bit of time, got to make a bit of time. So I'm going to cheat and just on a low fan speed so it doesn't blow everywhere. I'm not allowed microwave. I'm just going to melt the cocoa butter. So I'm wanting it at about 31 degrees. So I'm going to melt it till it's half liquid, half powder. Now that it's there, I'm going to add in some colour. Okay, red colour. Do you know, I went to the opening of a new hotel once and they asked me to do a chocolate showpiece in the foyer for the opening, and I said, wow, that's amazing, I would love to do that. So I did the chocolate showpiece in the foyer, and I didn't realise, but I'd actually knocked over one of these full containers of red colour. And you know, even in the distance, I thought, what's that red on the carpet? And there was red everywhere because I'd knocked it over and people were walking in it and I didn't even realise. Funnily enough, I was never invited back after they shampooed the carpets, which they had to do like at 3 a.m. when no one was around. No, it's not funny, Kirsten. It's not funny at all. It wasn't funny at the time. I couldn't believe it. I reckon it would have been on the floor with people trampling on it for at least an hour. Good thing is, fat-soluble colours are much easier to clean than water-soluble. Okay, nearly there. We don't want this to be too hot. All right, so I'm going to give that a really good stir. And a little trick you can do, and use a glove, is, which I haven't done, I haven't cooled this down enough. I can feel it's quite warm. So I'm actually going to cool it down on the side of the bowl before using it. Now I'm going to put this in and I'm going to put milk chocolate on top of it. You're not going to see much of the red, a little bit. How am I going for time? Whew. Why didn't I just do my first idea, Florentines? I could be done, sitting back, relaxing. Challenge completed. Nearly there. Not really. Clean the top of the mould. Time waster, I know, but I still can't let it go with cocoa butter on the top. There we go, that's better. The mat stops it slipping. Now I'm going to add a little bit of gold metallic. Obviously, very special guest for my dinner party. Imagine if after the hour something goes wrong and these don't come out of the mould. Be a bit of a disaster, wouldn't it? Okay, gold metallic. Tap out the excess. We can scrape that up and use it again. Now let me know if you think this is cheating, but I got some chocolate out of the tempering machine. I didn't temper it. And I'm using a heat gun because I don't know if you noticed my slip up before, but I nearly used the microwave, but I didn't. Okay, so heating it up. We do have a great video on tempering on our YouTube channel if you're wanting to know how to temper chocolate. So it's not really cheating because the chocolate's cold, so I have to heat it up a little bit before I can use it. A little bit nervous. Now I'm using a piping bag again. Just check this time. All clear. A little bit more. Get rid of these bits of plastic. Tap out the air bubbles. Now I'm going to turn it over. Scrape it. Oh, a little sneak peek. Let's hope it all works out. So just scraping the mold clean. I'm going to leave it on its side. This chocolate I can melt again, so I can reuse that. I'm just going to cover it while it sets. And we're going to go on to the cashew nut crunch without the microwave. The only thing with the heat gun is I'm literally spraying chocolate everywhere. But you have to stir it as you heat it, otherwise you're going to burn the chocolate. Now I'm going to cheat a little bit. Normally we heat this to 45. We pour it onto the bench and cool it down to 27 before using it. I'm basically just going to temper it and mix it really, really thoroughly and then add the cashew nuts. A little bit more heat. Make sure that this is, if you do this little cheats method, make sure that it's not too hot. Otherwise you're going to untemper the layer of milk chocolate that we've just done. And I'm doing glass to be nice to you so you can see, but that's one of the downsides of glass is it gets really hot and it can untemper. Okay, cashew nuts. I'm just going to taste this. If I'm perfectly honest, it's too sweet. It's too much praline in there. I can taste the cashews, but I think I need a little bit of dark chocolate. So I'm going to add a little bit of dark chocolate to it so it's not as sweet because I'm adding caramel to that as well. I'm adding an 80% dark couverture to it, which has very little sugar. This has to be tempered as well. Once again, I'm being very nice to you using a glass bowl, but it'd be much better in plastic. It's not going to take me, once I have this in, it's not going to take me that long to finish. My concern is as well, it's going to be hard to seal with the caramel. So I'm going to put more of this because it needs to taste more of cashew, a little bit less of the caramel. Nearly there, nearly all melted. Dark chocolate in. Also thinking I should have done a truffle shell. Imagine how easy it would be to use a truffle shell and make this. Be done, finished. Needs a little bit more heat now. These are the spoons for putting it in the mold. So the only tasting spoon I've got on my tray is a soup spoon, which is handy. I'm not going to fill it though. Much better, so much better. I just need though one more thing. I'm going to add a little bit of salt. All right, a little bit of sea salt. a spoon on my equipment tray, another soup spoon. That's it. I have to have a balance between this and the caramel, keeping in mind that the predominant flavour needs to be cashew. I'm almost tempted to put the caramel in first. It'd be hard to get this level though. I'll put this in first. So I'm going to do a couple at a time and then tap the mould so it goes flat. Right, now we're going to wait for that to set. I'm not going to put it in the fridge at this stage because we don't want a layer of moisture between the crunch layer and the caramel. So, a little bit too much downtime for my liking, but it's done. Caramel is cool. Now I literally have 8 minutes to go. I don't think I'm going to make it because these are going to take 20 minutes in the fridge. So, but I don't think we can count fridge time. Who agrees not to count fridge time? Thank you. All right, so I'm going to cut this off. Pipe on. Now, this is a tricky bit because the caramel is going to be very, very soft. And normally we would let this sit for 24 hours before sealing it. So I'm doing it all in one day. So I'm going to put a little less filling in than I normally would. Beauty of caramel. See how that's leveling out by itself. Perfectly. Don't jinx yourself, Kirsten. I've done more of a crunch layer because my flavour is cashew. So if I did more caramel, you wouldn't taste as much cashew. And I know what you're thinking. The cashew layers are all slightly different heights, but predominantly they're much more cashew layer than caramel. Now I'm going to use a plastic sheet to seal it. You need to be able to hold it up at eye level and not see any filling. Okay, the sealing. Cheated once again. Got the chocolate out of the Selmy machine, already tempered. Just between you and me. Now this is a messy way of sealing it. So I've got some baking paper there. Plastic sheet that fits the size, and this may or may not have been pre-cut and I just stole it from the kitchen. Okay, to seal the molds. If I had done the shell the day before, stop talking Kirsten, you haven't got time. No, but if I'd done the shell the day before, I would have to warm the surface with a heat gun or a hairdryer before sealing it. But as I've only done it the same day, I don't need to do that. Oh, no, I don't want to do this, Kirsten. What are you doing? Okay, this is what I'm going to do instead. Really quickly. Because they're really full and they're fresh. Just pretend I haven't got that bit of chocolate on there. Plastic sheet. Okay. Go this end. Now I'm making a mess. And you've got to scrape it so it's really clean. That's better if the mold's really full, to not do as a starter. I just did that to show you what not to do if the mold's really full, but spread it on the plastic sheet instead. And look at that, not one drop of caramel. High five. Now, you can pick that up now, but it's very, very messy. But given my time restraints, and I am running out of time, but remember we agreed together that the 20 minutes in the fridge would not count. So thank you for that. But what you should normally do is let that sit until the chocolate has really started to set, and then scrape it off cleanly so there's no chocolate wastage at all, and then you remelt that chocolate. Okay, here we go. That's what I'm talking about. So cashew nuts, let's have a look if I nailed that flavor. Would you like to see these at your dinner party? Let me know in the comments. Plastic off. Good sign so far. Can smell the cashew. No, I can't really. Just saying that because Tanya's here, my taste tester. All right, these need to go into the fridge for a little bit longer. You can see on the back there, they're nearly all contracted, but just need a tiny bit more. But actually, I'm really happy with that end result. A little bit of gold and red and that beautiful cashew nut and caramel flavor. I'm gonna put these back in the fridge. But I must say, I have presented enough for the dinner party within the time limit. Just saying. So 2 each for the guests, and I think given all my hard work, the rest for the host. So taste testing now. The judge of whether I've succeeded in this challenge is Tanya, who works with me here at Savor. So come in, Tanya. So Tanya is going to judge me. She works with me here at Savor. She's going to taste the chocolate to see if I've succeeded in the challenge. Now don't touch my nice display. I'll pick which one you can taste.
That one.
Yeah, okay. You could pick, you can eat that one.
Taste test. What do you always say? It's all about the sensories. Looking. Very nice. Smelling. Smells delicious. Oh, nice crunch.
We've got our little bit of caramel here at the base and the cashew nut and chocolate here on top.
I'm really happy you put that dark chocolate in there. I hate to say it, but they're very good.
So, thanks, Tanya.
But I will just point out, I'm not cleaning up today.
So for the taste for me, I think it's very good, but I think it needs to sit for another 12 to 20 hours for the chocolate to fully contract and fully set. So I've literally made those in an hour. So the chocolate hasn't fully contracted yet. I think the flavors for me are absolutely spot on. Now we create lots of recipes like this on Savor online classes. So if you're wanting to learn all the technique, all the science, all the recipes, we give you easy step-by-step instructions on our Savor online classes. All you need to do is subscribe via our website. If you enjoyed that episode, you will love my channel. Subscribe today for even more tutorials on chocolate and baking. Best of all, it's free, so get on it.